Customize the Django admin with Python. The Django framework comes with a powerful administrative tool called admin. You can use it out of the box to quickly add, delete, or edit any database model from a web interface. But with a little extra code, you can customize the Django admin to take your admin capabilities to the next level. In this course, you'll learn how to add attribute columns in the model object list, link between model objects, add filters to the model object list, make model object list searchable, modify the object edit forms, and override Django admin templates. So let's get straight into it. Prerequisites. To get the most out of this course, you'll need some familiarity with Django, particularly model objects. As Django isn't part of the Python standard library, it's best if you also have some knowledge of pip and virtual environments. In this course, you'll see Python's venv being used to create one. If you're not up to speed yet, Real Python has courses that will get you there quickly. Getting started with Django Part 1, build a portfolio app, if you've not used Django before. What is pip? A guide for new Pythonistas, if you haven't installed anything such as Django using pip. Managing multiple Python versions with pyenv. This is a more advanced way of handling different versions of Python and is well worth looking into. It's also well worth searching realpython.com for Django, as there's a huge selection of courses available which will suit your needs. Finally, a quick note about the code. The code snippets in this tutorial were tested using Django 3.1.3. But all of the concepts predate Django 2, so they should work in whichever version you're using. But be aware, minor differences in syntax may exist. With those preliminaries out of the way, let's get started by setting up a Django project to work in. Setting up the Django admin. The Django admin provides a web-based interface for creating and managing database model objects. To see it in action, you'll first need a Django project and some object models. First, you'll see creation of a fresh virtual environment and installation of Django. The first command creates a new virtual environment, and the second one switches to it. Note that the command to activate the virtual environment works on macOS and Linux, but you'll need a different one for Windows, as you're seeing on screen now. Next, Django is installed, and a new Django project named School is created, followed by an app called Core. Then you migrate the necessary tables for the Django installation and create an administrator. This is a super user. Access to the Django admin screens is restricted to users with staff or super user flags, so you use the create super user management command to create a super user. Next, you'll also need to modify school settings.py to include the new app named Core. The Core app directory starts with the following files inside. You're interested in two of these files. Firstly, models.py, which defines the database models, and secondly, admin.py, which registers the models with the Django admin. To demonstrate the outcome when customizing the Django admin, you'll need some models. Here you'll see editing of core models.py. First, you'll see creation of a person, which has a first and last name and can take 0 or more courses. Next, the courses. Each course has a name and a year in which it was offered. A grade contains a percentage score that a person achieved on a course. Here's a model diagram showing the relationships between the objects. The underlying table names in the database are slightly different from this, but they're related to the models shown above. Each model that you want Django to represent in the admin interface needs to be registered. This is done in the admin.py file. Models from core models.py are registered in the corresponding admin.py file. As you can see, this code registers the 3 models we've created: person, course, and grade. And with that, you're almost ready to go. Next up, back on the command line, making and applying the migrations for those models. Once those have been applied, you can run the Django development server and see the results. Once the development server is running, visit the address which was seen on screen to see the admin interface. You'll be prompted to log in, and you need to use the credentials you created with the create superuser management command. As you can see, the admin home screen lists all of the registered database models, courses, grades, and people. You can now use the interface to create objects in the database. Clicking a model name will show you a screen listing all of the objects in the database for that model. Here, people was clicked, leading to the list of people. As you can see, the list starts out empty, like the database. Clicking Add Person allows you to create a person in the database, and once you save, you'll be returned to the list of person objects. The good news is you've got an object. The bad news is person object 1 tells you the ID of the object and nothing else. By default, the Django admin displays each object by calling stir on it. You can make this screen a little more helpful by adding a _stir method to the person class in models.py. In this case, the _stir method added to person changes the display to include the first and last name of the person in the interface. Refreshing the screen once this code has been saved will show you the change. That's a little better. Now you can see some information about the person object. It's a good idea to add similar methods to both the course and the grade objects. You want to have some data in your database to see the full effect of your customizations. You can have some fun and create your own data now, or you can skip the work and use a fixture. Django lets you load data to and from the database in files called fixtures. Enter the following into a file named core fixtures school.json. Once you've created a file, or use the one from the provided resources, you can use the Django management command load data to load it into your database. Your database now has some sample person, course, and grade objects. Now that you have some data to work with, you're ready to start customizing Django's admin interface. And that's exactly where we're headed next. Customizing the Django admin. Django's creators didn't just build the admin, they did it in such a way that you can customize it for your projects. When you registered the person admin object earlier, it inherited from admin.modeladmin. Most of the customization you can do with the Django admin is done by modifying model admin, and there's a lot of modifying that can be done. Model admin has over 30 attributes and almost 50 methods. You can use each one of these to fine-tune the admin's presentation and control your object's interfaces. Every one of these objects is described in detail in the documentation. To top it all off, the admin is built using Django's templating interface. The Django template mechanism allows you to override existing templates, and because the admin is just another set of templates, this means you can completely change the HTML. Although it's beyond the scope of this tutorial, you can even create multiple admin sites. That might seem like overkill, but it allows you to get fancy and define different sites for users with different permissions. The Django admin is split into 3 major areas. The app index. This index lists your registered models. Change lists. A change list is automatically created for each registered model and lists the objects for that model. Change forms. When you add or edit one of these objects, you do so with a change form. In the earlier example, the app index showed the person, course, and grade objects. Clicking people shows the change list for person objects. On the person change list page, clicking the Buffy Summers object takes you to the change form to edit Buffy's details. In the next video, you'll see how to customize the admin, starting with list display. modifying a change list using list display. Implementing done-to-stir is a quick way to change the representation of a person object from a meaningless string to understandable data. Since this representation will also show up in drop-downs and multi-selects, you definitely want to make it as easy to understand as possible. You can customize change list pages in far more ways than just modifying an object's string representation. The list display attribute of an admin.modelAdmin object specifies what columns are shown in the change list. This value is a tuple of attributes of the object being modeled. For example, in core admin.py, modify person admin as follows. The code you've just seen modifies your person change list to display the last name and first name attributes for each person object. Each attribute is shown in a column on the page. As you can see, the two columns are clickable, allowing you to sort the page by the column data. The admin also respects the ordering attribute of a meta section. Adding the ordering attribute will default all queries on person to be ordered by last name and then first name. Django will respect this default order for both the admin and when fetching objects. The list display tuple can reference any attribute of the object being listed. It can also reference a method in the admin.modelAdmin itself. Modify person admin again, as seen on the screen. With this code, you add a column to the admin that displays each student's grade average. The showAverage function is called once for each object displayed on the list. The obj parameter is the object for the row that's being displayed. In this case, you use it to query the corresponding grade objects for the student, with the response averaged out over grade.grade. You can see the result on screen. Keep in mind that the average grade should really be calculated in the person model object. You'll likely want the data elsewhere, not just in the admin. If you had such a method, you could add it to the list display attribute. The example here shows what you can do in a model admin object, but it probably isn't the best choice for your code. By default, only those columns that are object attributes are sortable. ShowAverage isn't an attribute, so it's not sortable. This is because the sorting is performed by an underlying query set, not on the displayed results. There are ways of sorting these columns in some cases, but that's beyond the scope of this course. The title for the column is based on the name of the method. You can alter the title by adding an attribute to the method. Django follows good security practice by protecting you from HTML in strings, just in case that's from user input. To have the display include HTML, you must use format_HTML, as seen here. Unfortunately, Django hasn't yet added f-string support for format HTML, so you're stuck with the .format syntax. With those changes made, showAverage now has a custom title, average grade, and is formatted to be in bold italics. In the next video, you'll learn how to link other objects within the admin. Providing links to other object pages. It's quite common for objects to reference other objects through the use of foreign keys. You can point list display at a method that returns an HTML link. Inside core admin.py, modify the course admin class as follows. This code causes the course change list to have 3 columns: the course name, the year in which the course was offered, and a link displaying the number of students in the course. When you click 2 students, it takes you to the person change list page with a filter applied. The filtered page shows only those students in Psych 101, Buffy and Willow. Xander didn't make it to university. The example code uses reverse to look up a URL in the Django admin. You can look up any admin page using the following naming convention. This name structure breaks down as follows. Admin is the namespace. App is the name of the app. Model is the model object. Page is the Django admin page type. For the View Students link seen in the previous code, the link used is admin core person change list to get a reference to the change list page of the person object in the core app. Here are the available URL names: change list, add, history, delete, and change. You can filter the change list page by adding a query string to the URL. This query string modifies the query set used to populate the page. In the example shown here, the query string filters the person list to only show those objects that have a matching value in person.course. Here you can see the effect of this. The course ID appears as a 2 in the query string and the matches shown below. These filters support query set field lookups using double underscores. You can access attributes of related objects, as well as use filter modifiers like contains and starts with. You can find the full details on what you can accomplish with a list display attribute in the Django admin documentation. As you can imagine, there are situations where you can have too much information present in the admin screen, and that's where filters come in, and they're covered in the next section. Adding filters to the list screen. In addition to filtering data on the change list through the calling URL, you can also filter with a built-in widget. Add the list filter attribute to the course admin object in core admin.py. The list filter will display a new section on the page with a list of links. In this case, the links filter the page by year. The filter list is automatically populated with the year values used by the course objects in the database. Clicking a year on the right-hand side will change the list to only include course objects with that year value. You can also filter based on the attributes of related objects using the dunder field lookup syntax. For example, you could filter grade admin objects by course dunder year, showing the grade objects for only a certain year of courses. If you're looking for more control over your filtering, then you can even create filter objects that specify the lookup attributes and the corresponding query set. Being able to filter data is useful, but being able to search brings true power and convenience. And in the next section, you'll see how to do this. Adding search to the list screen. Filters aren't the only way to reduce the amount of data on screen. Django admin also supports searching through the search_fields option, which adds a search box to the screen. You set it with a tuple containing the names of fields to be used for constructing a search query in the database. Anything the user types in the search box is used in an OR clause of the fields filtering the query set. By default, each search parameter is surrounded by %signs, meaning that if you search for R, then any word with an R inside will appear in the results. You can be more precise by specifying a dunder modifier on the search field. Here you can see core admin.py is being edited to change this. In this code, searching is based on last name. The dunder starts with modifier restricts the search to last names that begin with the search parameter. Searching on R provides the following results. Whenever a search is performed on a change list page, the Django admin calls your admin.modelAdmin's object getSearchResults method. It returns a query set with the search results. You can fine-tune searches by overloading the method and changing the query set. More details can be found in the documentation. Customization of the admin interface isn't limited to how existing data is presented. It's also possible to change how data is created and edited, and that's what's covered in the next section. Changing how models are edited. You can customize more than just a change list page. The screens used to add or change an object are based on a model form. Django automatically generates the form based on the model being edited. You can control which fields are included, as well as their order, by editing the fields option. Once more, modify your person admin object, adding a fields attribute. The add and change pages for person now put the first name attribute before the last name attribute, even though the model itself specifies the other way around. ModelAdmin.getForm is responsible for creating the model form for your object. You can override this method to change the form. Here you can see the method being added to person admin. Now, as you can see on screen, when the add or change page is displayed, the label of the first name field is customized. Changing the label might not be sufficient to prevent vampires from registering as students. If you don't like the model form that Django admin created for you, then you can use the form attribute to register a custom form. Here some more changes have been made to core admin.py. This code enforces additional validation on the person add and change pages. Model form objects have a rich validation mechanism. In this case, the first name field is being checked against the name spike. A validation error prevents students with this name from registering. By changing or replacing the model form object, you can fully control the appearance and validation of the pages you use to add or change object pages. With more control over the data that's presented and how it's edited and changed, the next area to investigate is changing the templates, which control the appearance of the admin area pages, and that's what you'll be seeing in the next section. Overriding Django admin templates. The Django developers implemented the admin using the Django template mechanism. This made their job a little bit easier, but it also benefits you by allowing you to override those templates. You can fully customize the admin by changing the templates used to render pages. You'll find the templates used in the admin by looking inside the Django package in your virtual environment. The exact location will depend on your system, but will largely be the same as the one on screen, where venv represents your Python virtual environment, and Python is the Python version you're using. Here you can see the admin templates being shown in Finder on my own system, and the main thing to notice is there's a lot of them. The Django template engine has a defined order for loading templates. When it loads a template, it uses the first template that matches the name. You can override admin templates by using the same directory structure and file names. The admin templates come in two directories. Admin is for the model object pages. Registration is for password changes and logging in and out. To customize the logout page, you need to override the right file. The relative path leading to the file has to be the same as the one being overridden. The file you're interested in is registration logedout.html. Start by creating the directory in the school project. Next, Django needs to be told about the new template directory inside the school settings.py file. Look for the templates directive and add the folder to the list of directories. The template engine searches directories in the DIRs option before the application directories, so anything with the same name as an admin template will be loaded instead. To see this in action, copy Django's default logedout.html file into your template's registration directory, and then modify it as seen on screen now. If you click Logout, then you'll see the customized message. Django admin templates are deeply nested and maybe not that intuitive, but you do have full control over their presentation if you need it. Some packages, including Grappelli and Django Admin Bootstrap, have fully replaced the Django admin templates to change their appearance. Projects like these can sometimes not yet be compatible with the latest Django version, so you may need to follow their changes closely. That said, if you want to see the power of overriding admin templates, they're well worth checking out. Customize the Django admin with Python. Summary. Well done. You've made it to the end of this course. In it, you've seen that the Django admin is a powerful built-in tool giving you the ability to create, update and delete objects in your database using a web interface. You can customize the Django admin to do almost anything you want. In this course, you've learned how to register your object models with the Django admin, add attributes as columns in a change list, create column values with calculated content, cross-reference admin pages through links, filter the change list page through query strings, make your change list searchable, customize the automatic model form object, and change the HTML in Django admin templates. This tutorial only touches the surface. There's a huge amount of configuration that can be done to the Django admin. You can take a deeper dive into the documentation to explore such topics as inline forms, multiple admin sites, mass editing, auto-completion, and much, much more. We hope you found this course useful, and we'll see you again soon at realpython.com.